Hello again, it's Phil Smy here with another book review. This time it's about that great book of creation. No, not the book of Genesis, it's Peter Thiel's 0 to 1. So this video was delayed because I actually read the book twice in the last 2 weeks. I'd not read the book before. It's always been kind of recommended and everything, but I'd never actually read it before. And then a couple of weeks ago, I dove into it and wow, I had to read it twice. So the first question, of course, is who is Peter Thiel? He's probably best known as one of the founders of PayPal. Of course, he's also an investor in Facebook and many other big things. In short, he's really, really rich and powerful, and he's a lawyer, so you don't mess with him. So what does the term 0 to 1 mean? Basically, it's talking about innovation. To go from 1 to N is to just make more of the same. To create something new, you're going from 0, nothing, to 1. The best example is globalization. Globalization is a 1 to N strategy. You're not creating something new, you're simply taking the same thing and moving it around. Technology is to go from 0 to 1. Thiel, like myself, is an unabashed technologist.
Timmy, you are a rational being. You know you must sit there. You have no choice.
He puts forward this compelling argument that technology and technological change is what will change the future, as it has dramatically changed human history starting about 200 years, 1770 with the steam engine up until 1970 with the microprocessor. We need technological breakthroughs, otherwise we're screwed, environmentally speaking. You know, if China and India decide to live like people live in America, handbaskets and hell come to mind. The sad thing is that since 1970, apart from communications and computers, we haven't really seen big changes. If you look around, things are not so different. That's what 0 to 1 is talking about. The book itself is not meant to be a playbook for how to create a company. It's more inspiration and a set of patterns that Thiel has seen in companies and strategies that he thinks are 0 to 1 strategies. So let's dive into it. Perhaps because of his legal training, or maybe he went into the law because of his personality trait, Thiel is a bit of a contrarian, argumentative.
An argument is a connected series of statements to establish a definite proposition.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. It isn't just contradiction.
Look, if I argue with you, I must take up a contrary position.
But it isn't just saying, no, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
He questions the beliefs of the majority, both socially, as in this question that he likes to ask people, which is, what important truth do very few people agree with you on, to make people uncomfortable to have to answer it, I think. And this conventional lessons brought about by the belief that technology companies were defined by this dot-com bubble in the 1990s. And he was there for the dot-com bubble with PayPal. So he brings up 4 points that most modern business strategists talk about. Point number 1, make incremental advances. Point number 2, stay lean and flexible. Point number 3, improve on the competition. And point number 4, focus on the product, not the sales. So that's what he says are the lessons that most people take away from the 1990s dot-com bubble. He counters with what he believes makes a powerful, lasting company. And those are completely in contrary to those 4 lessons. 1, it's better to risk boldness than triviality. 2, a bad plan is better than no plan. 3, competitive markets destroy profits. And 4, sales matter just as much as the product. These 4 points are at the core of the book. Because Thiel so strongly believes that massive technological change is needed to save the planet, being meek and incremental is just not going to cut it. A different way to sell shoes online is not really an advancement. And I think he argues quite compelling throughout this book that a lot of people, there's companies who think they are starting and doing something new, and they're in the one-to-end space for sure. In my mind, he takes straight shots at people like Eric Ries and the Lean Startup with comments like this. Leanness is a methodology, not a goal. And iteration, which, as I said, Lean Startup is big on, iteration is without a bold plan will not take you from 0 to 1. But it's his ideas on competition and monopoly that I find most interesting and very contrary. Thiel believes that monopolies have a distinct advantage, not just for the company, but for society itself. And by monopolies, he means things like Google or Apple, or in the olden days of AT&T and IBM and so on. He doesn't mean despotic monopolies. Because when a company has a monopoly in the market, then they are free from these wars between kingdoms. And they're free to invent. And competition, as defined even by economists, it reduces companies really to faceless entities that providing like this homogeneous, replaceable solutions. And that's what you look at. If you look at what economists define as perfect competition, really everybody is like blah, blah, blah. Bricks in the wall, you know? And if you're providing a homogeneous solution, then by definition, you're not going to change the world. And there's one really solid piece of advice here, and that is the lesson for entrepreneurs is clear. If you want to create and capture lasting value, don't build an undifferentiated commodity business. And I love this quote about the finance industry. Finance is the only way to create money if you don't know how to create wealth. So Thiel argues against globalization. As I said already, the adaptation of Western consumerism and Western energy consumption and lifestyle. Globalization is mere substitution. So you take this job here and you move it over there and you pay the person less. It's kind of like a reshuffling of the deck, really. It's moving pieces around the table. Through technology, though, we can create a complementary structure. We can have an advancement, not a substitution. What people can do in tandem with technology is much greater than moving jobs around. The book is really filled with valuable, I wrote valuable here, but it's invaluable information. It's a business book that, true to the man behind it, is very unique. Thiel is not someone who you see on all these podcasts being interviewed, who's in and of themselves, these podcasts are shuffling the deck. They all seem to have the same guests saying the same kind of thing. Thiel is definitely not like that. He's a contrarian, but he's about creating a better future, maybe not necessarily creating some passion business, Really, this book made me question everything about how I look at creating new businesses and the scale of which I should be thinking. I think also that really changed that. It made me optimistic about the future, and that maybe for some, too late for old people like me, that we can have that kind of vision of the future that we had back in the 1960s, which was the last time of really, specific optimism, which he talks about in this book. Fascinating section, that about the different kinds of optimism and pessimism. It's not an operational book, so I still believe that Drucker is the king of how to run your business, but and the idea of marketing and things like this. But as Thiel says, in the book, he says that arguing over process has become a way to endlessly defer making concrete plans for a better future. So process has its place, but vision comes before process. There's so much good stuff in this book, really, I could just quote for days. I could just read the book to you because I think it's that good. If you want to be inspired and you want to take the high road to building a better future, a better company, then you owe it to yourself to read this book. I can't say more than that. And read it many times. And ask yourself the contrarian question that Thiel talks about throughout this book. What valuable company is nobody building today? I hope you enjoy these book reviews. This one was not so much a book review, it was an impassioned plea, I think. But I hope you enjoy these book reviews and you subscribe. There's subscribe buttons in different places. And you can go to my website, which is philsmy.com, and subscribe to my newsletter there. I write articles that are specific for the website, and I'm going to be doing a business course on there, like I talked about in a previous video, where we're going to go through the business model generation, business model canvas creating. So, hope to see you around. Leave a comment. I always try and answer, if you're not too rude. Anyway, see you soon. Thanks for watching.